back, and it is episode 224 of the Metal Roundtable. I am Metal Rob, and with me, as always, from day one, that dude right there,
Carcass John. Good to be here again.
Scooter has been with us for multiple years now, but the two guys with the knowledge base up here are Scott. And I can't reach over to point to him. He's way down there.
Here, I'll point to him.
There he is.
My camera.
Dude, encyclopedic knowledge. But the man with the glasses and the badass hair, VIC STOWN, is joining us today because he's a little hot under the metal collar, and we got some shit to talk about.
Uh-oh.
Me and Rob used to have badass hair, too. It's just...
Hey man, judgment-free zone. I'm enjoying it while I still have it. I don't know what's going to happen in my head.
He gets thrown over the shoulder.
That's right. That's right. Well, let's kick it off with some shout-outs. We're going to go around the horn real quick, and then Carcass and Vic are going to bring us some picks of the week, and then we're going to get into our topic at hand, which is what constitutes an actual music release. It's not as confusing as it sounds, I promise. I'm going to shout out Brother Kane because they are coming to a venue about 60 seconds from my house on Friday. And so my buddy Richie and I are going to hang out with them and barbecue again. And we've gotten to know a couple of those dudes. And so that'll be fun. And then we've got Armored Saint coming up on the 17th. Hopefully John Bush's voice is working again because we have been kindly invited back to hang out and break bread with those dudes again, which will be super fun. So I hope to have stories from those two escapades soon. And other than that, I'm going to shout out Scott because he sent me a care package yesterday that must have included 10 test pressings and a Sacred Reich button.
Nice.
Heal.
And,
that ought to heal your soul.
Yeah. So that's it. Go ahead, Carcass.
Oh, I tell you what, I'm going to shout out Kieran Dickerson. That says one of Steph's children. She convinced me that OTEP, the band OTEP, was a good thing to do. And sometimes you reluctantly do things as a family just because it's family stuff. But I got to tell you what, that angry little gal she's got something. And the band was tight and the band was killer. And they drew from all their albums, and it was nothing sort of spectacular. It was really good. So shout out to Kieran and the OTEP crew. It was pretty cool. It was at the infamous Haltham Theater that is really picking up a lot of traction. So Vic, if you need a gig, we got a place for you that's pretty easy to get into. So come on down.
All right.
Scott, what you got?
I'm gonna give a shout out to my local brothers, Savage Wisdom. Let me take out the plastic so you actually see it. These guys are spectacular, and then they seem to put out an album once every 10 years, but it's always good. And this one's great. There's the band on the back. If anybody cares what the band looks like, but these guys
over quantity.
They're kind of a I don't know, in the vein of early Queensryche, Fates Warning, straightforward, heavy metal, high soaring vocals, kind of Jeff Tate-ish kind of vocals. So great band from Santa Fe, New Mexico. And if anybody cares, we have copies at nolettometalrecords.com. You can pick up. We bought a bunch of them from the band directly because this is an actual release that the band put out themselves on CD.
It's
not
a real
just digital
one.
only.
It's
a real release.
Hey, do they have days now? Oh, never mind. We'll get into that later.
Oh my God. You never see them.
Anyhow. I also been talking a lot on the phone, and I'm hoping we'll get them on the show to these guys, Hades.
Oh, cool. Good. Cool band.
And it looks like we'll be able to get at least one, if not two of the guys on the show to talk Hades and Patriarchs in Black and all the different stuff that they've done recently. So I'm kind of pumped about that. But I did pick up, I didn't even know it was released on vinyl, but they finally released Damnation on vinyl.
Now, is that
Hades has been around. People don't realize their first album was like 86, but they've been around since 81.
Yeah.
And their first single, I mean, they were basically an American new wave of British heavy metal band.
Their first single came out in like 78 or 79, I think.
Oh, it's insane. And it's so good.
Oh, that early. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I thought it was like 81, but yeah, Scott might be right. Yeah.
Now,
yeah, they
Scott,
released.
Why would Hades be relevant to you and I?
I don't know, because they're a kick-ass U.S. power metal thrash band that may be getting some of their CD-only releases released on vinyl finally.
Interesting.
Huh. And I bet there's someone in this crew that's going to master that record or those records.
Formed in Hades was formed in January of 1978.
That is
wow.
so shocking. So shocking.
Yeah, January 78. But yes, it looks like that's going to be the case on Brutal Planet Records. All the 3 or 4 albums in the middle that have never been released on vinyl will finally be seeing a vinyl release.
Yeah, good
so
for them.
Save Yourself
and you guys.
Yeah. So.
What next? Nevermore? Flotsam and Jetsam? Oh, never mind. That's already been done.
Sacred Reich.
Oh, just hold on.
Sacred Reich's coming to Heal on vinyl finally.
Yeah.
I think it was only ever put on vinyl in like.
Yeah, I'm kind of pissed off. I just bought that copy like 6 months ago, and then you guys find out you're going to release it.
So do you have
we've been asking for it for a long time. We just could never get it, but they finally gave it to us. So it was basically Metal Blade kept saying that we're gonna put it out, and so we asked again, and they were like, "Nah, just go ahead and go for it." So
try that with Earache. It'll never happen.
Oh no, those guys are.
Yeah, they just
they'll find 6 boxes of that release in a warehouse somewhere, and then say, "Oh well, hey, let's put it back out." And you'll find.
I got a couple shout outs, Rob. So I went and saw Uriah Heep and Saxon last week. Man, if they're playing in your area, that was such an amazing shot. Like I knew Saxon was going to be good. I've seen them; they're always good. Uriah Heep blew me away. I mean, they were fantastic. They had Wakeman. What's his first name? He played with Black Sabbath and with Ozzy and
Rick Wakeman.
No, it's
his son.
Yeah,
it's his son that
he's the one that did the Jazz Sabbath releases, and he played with Sabbath and Ozzy in the 90s. But
it's like Terry Wakeman or something like that. But it's
Rick Wakeman's son. It was a fantastic show. They were real heavy on the first 2 records, which I love. Those are my favorites. But I also want to give a shout out to John. It's at BitBotBoom on Instagram. So he turned me on to this one. So this is one Rob will like. So you know Tiger Tails, right?
Yeah.
You ever seen this EP before? So this is Heaven, but the B-side is Creeping Death and Peace Sells.
Nice.
So fucking good. You're muted, Rob.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep from talking over everybody.
Yeah. Okay, he told me about this. I ordered it from Europe the next day, and I've played this like 30 times. It's so good. Nice. Of all the bands that you don't expect to do those 2 songs, Tiger Tails. So
I'm looking right now.
Yeah. I thought you'd get a kick out of that one.
I am. Okay, I'll find
Vic.
that.
The platform is yours, Vic. You got any shout outs?
Not really. No, nothing cool that I can think of. I'm sure there's something slipping, my mind. It's just nah. No shout out.
Are you doing anything at Full Terra Assault this year?
No. No one invites me to things. I think it's because I'm too intimidating. I don't know.
I don't know, mate. I've invited you to play my living room multiple times. So.
I know. I need to. I need to get down there. I do need to get down there. It's been too long, and I do like the scene down there.
Yeah,
you would. If you go down there, you will spend the entire day just staring at the things on the wall in John's house. That's what I did the first day I was there.
We'll plan on that. That'll be part of the tour itinerary.
Hopefully before August, because by August the house will have changed a little bit by then, accommodating 2 castles into 1.
Oh,
so
more cool things on the wall then.
Yes, as a matter of fact, yes. Let's see. Frazier is already in full form.
Before we get into the topic at hand, though, let's do our weekly Pick of the Week,
Oh, the Pick of the Week.
POW. So, again, John, we'll let John go first, and then I asked Vic to do the same because I was curious what he would pick. So,
well, Vic, I started splitting it up. I had a hard rock pick and a real actual metal pick because I think that the transition between hard rock into metal is too important. So this week's rock or hard rock pick of the week is Van Halen.
Nice.
Fair warning. I don't know why I like this one so much. I like number 2.
The heaviest.
Yeah, it's heavy. I think this kind of is their transition record into a more heavy sound. They do have keyboards because Eddie just insisted on trying the whole keyboard thing. But man, Mean Street, they come out of the gates with that, and Unchained is one of my favorite songs.
Unchained is great.
1 Foot Out the Door, that's like almost a speed metal song. So I don't know. I think this is important that everybody should include this. I think all the early Van Halen stuff should be definitely included. And I'm not a fan of the Van Hagar era, but I just like the early the David Lee Roth time better.
same.
Okay, another critical record in the development of death metal. I was really super into. I came into the metal scene through the punk scene, so I was into speedy thrashing, riffing, Verruchers, Disrupt, Discharge, whatever stuff that was fast. But the Swedish death metal scene back in the late 80s, early 90s, I think was all too important in forming that sound. It was they kind of had pockets. They had the New York sound, they had the Florida swampy Morrisound sound, and then they had the Swedish death metal. This is Therion's first record, and the second record is called Of Darkness. And man, I had seen Therion before, and they were wearing tuxedos, and they had girls in prom dresses and strings and violins and all that. And I thought, this isn't really that heavy. But then someone turned me on to this, and I thought, oh my gosh, what happened to them?
They have a very eclectic discography, to be honest, as they progress into the later years. And I even like some of that stuff, but it's a far cry from what they started as, which was, I think, the superior sound.
Yeah,
there's a lot of bands like that.
I think they went on to kind of formulate that whole what is it? They call it the Stockholm sound or whatever. But Grotesque became At the Gates, and then there was early Arch Enemy.
Gothenburg, is that the
Gothenburg sound? That's what
Gothenburg sound. Yep.
But
even some of the German, like I remember Borknagar put out this amazing black metal album to start out with, and then 2 albums later they were basically a progressive metal band and had completely lost that sound.
Yeah. So Therion of Darkness, I think, is critical to everybody's collection, and then of course any of the early Van Halens. But I chose Fair Warning just because of the heaviness of it. And oh, by the way, Tony Clem hit me up earlier. He was lamenting because he wanted, we got to talking about rigor mortis, and he was trying to find Slaves to the Grave on vinyl. And I said, well, I just happen to have a couple extra copies. And he said,
"Oh, you do?"
Because eBay was selling them for $225 by now. And I said,
no, I need to replace mine. I got one of the bad copies. It's not playable.
Oh, it's not?
No, I got the signed copy, and for some reason that colored pressing that they did just came out sounding terrible.
Yeah, I have a colored pressing, a black pressing, and a clear pressing. But Gina Corbett has been selling Bruce's old memorabilia and his Batman collection and some of his vinyl and Rigor Mortis, War Beast, whatever. And anyway, I might be able to find you a copy for less than $220.
Yeah.
But hey, friends are friends, right? We got to take care of each other. But yeah, I forgot how good that thing was. And he was even saying he got home yesterday. It had arrived. He put it on. And he said, "Oh my gosh, this thing is just amazing." And so
that was a great record. That was a really good record.
Yeah, it was kind of a triumphant return. I think it kind of their first album. So it sort of is great that it bookends their discography, I think. But anyway, there's been a lot of controversy, vitriol, hard feelings about the whole what to do with Bruce Corbett these days. But we can talk about that later off the air. I know that it's not been a pleasant experience in the DFW music scene here lately. But anyway, moving on.
So I'm gonna, even though I wasn't supposed to do a pick of the week, I'm going to throw this one up real quick because I got a call from my record store today when I was at work saying they had something they knew I wanted, and I've been looking for this for 25 years.
Oh,
with that, this is the first pressing without Kissing Time on it, and it's basically in mint. It looks unplayed, and man, they hooked me up with a really killer deal on this one. So finally got that one in the collection.
I like it better without Kissing Time. That is such
the band liked it better without Kissing Time too.
Anyway,
Vic, what's your pick of the week? And then we can get into it.
So when Scott sent me that message, I really struggled over it because I'm going, every collector should have in their collection. So I really, really spent, several hours pondering. It's got to be something that's going to appeal to everyone. I probably overthought this since John had a death metal record. I was like, oh, well,
that's
so,
but that is the first time he has had a death metal record, though. He's been pretty down to earth with most of the stuff. So that was the first time I saw something that was.
Well, we know what his first choice was the first night.
Yes, we do.
Probably yes. Yeah. Yep. So I tried to find something that you like my mentality was something you could put on at a party with both people who enjoyed rock and people who enjoyed metal, and that they could come together. So these two releases could actually kind of transcend and kind of replace each other. They're kind of, you could probably mismatch them, but one is not a metal band, it's rock, and the other is not. And it's funny that, Uriah Heep should have been mentioned because I picked Abominog because this is all Thriller and no fills. There's no filler on this record. Start to finish, this album, every chorus is catchy. The songwriting is there. The vocals are spot on. So if you like rock, and I mean, it's got the keyboards in it, so, but it's still like some of these songs are heavy, man. And it was in, the 80s were a weird time where, rock bands could make metal and metal bands could make rock. So the lines were blurred, at least more so in the early 80s. And this is a later 80s release, but still I feel like they went for a harder, sound on this particular record. Considering Uriah Heep's discography. And man, I was so stoked when I found this in the record store finally, mainly just because this right here drew me without the googly eyes, drew me in. I was like, this album cover is bonkers. So
it's Monkey Demon. Monkey Demon loves you.
Yes, he does. Because
I think they brought Bob Daisley into that record too, and I think he's part of the reason it was so heavy.
Okay, I mean,
it's exactly why he did a lot of the songwriting.
Okay, I mean that makes sense because it's
it's basically you've got the rhythms section from Ozzy's band, Blizzard of Oz.
And all right, that makes sense. I didn't even bother to check.
They played Too Scared to Run off that album when I saw them last week too. So
such a good song. I mean, my favorite song.
Lee Kurzlak and Bob Daisley were played on that album. Yep.
The one that sticks out to me is That's the Way That It Is. I always come back to that one, but then when you put that whole album on, and it's like, yeah, this is solid start to finish. And for my metal pick, I picked Screaming Blue Murder. So I don't think Girl School gets enough credit.
I just saw them a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, I saw them at Hell's Heroes. I don't know who's still in the band anymore. They still sound great. They didn't play anything off of this, I don't think. But this album, man, again, start to finish. Now, the weirdest song on this album that to me is Flesh and Blood. That's a weird song, but still, like, I don't mind it. So the stuff that's even like not as punchy as some of the other things on this, it still keeps your attention, because most of the tracks that I don't super dig on this are very Motorhead-esque. So I'm still paying attention. I'm still liking the riffs, but Don't Call It Love. What a great track. Scream Blue Murder. These are, I can come back to these every day. They're just the riffs in those songs. So I thought that was a good like middle point. Neither of those records are too extreme. They're not too extreme on either side of the aisle there, and could be mismatched for either. So I think they would appeal to most folks. So I do believe if you're collecting rock and metal, those two particular releases should be in your collection.
Funny enough, Scott, you have a package arriving tomorrow with that signed Girl School in there.
Awesome.
So
I know there's at least Kim and what's the other girl's name?
the singer is the
Denise.
only original member, but the drummer and the drummer's been there since like '82.
Okay.
That's Denise. She's the original drummer.
Yeah, when the guitar player is from Rock Goddess, but she's been in the band since like '86 or '87. So
okay. Yeah, and Kim, who is the rhythm guitar player and the vocalist, has been in the band since the beginning as well. Yep.
They were great. They did a great job. And I know that this is like, leg 1 of 2 of their final tour, at least in the US. So if you get the opportunity to see them, it's worth going to see them. They played a lot of stuff off the first record that I did recall. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I posted on Instagram. It was kind of funny because they were in the audience and nobody realized who it was because they just looked like a bunch of grandmas in the audience, like just sitting in the back, real quiet, And then right before they get on stage, they take out their jackets, take out their motor hat, and people realized who it was. I was just laughing, right? To see them, and they didn't even realize who it was standing next to them. So.
That happened to me a lot. Yeah. I was sitting in the back of a show in Santa Fe one time, just all the way in the back, sitting there watching the show. And who's standing next to me? I look over, it's Udo Dirkschneider.
Yeah.
And I look over, it's like, oh, hey, Udo.
Did you have to look over and down? That's what.
Yeah, over and down. I was going to say, you didn't look him in the eye, Scott. I know you may not be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but yeah, he's not tall.
Neither am I. So
he's James Rivera size.
Yeah, I'm not tall either. So I'm only 5'7". So anyhow.
Fun.
That's happened to me multiple times. So that's always fun when that happens. Same thing happened when I was watching another show, and I can't remember his name. The singer from Heathen was standing right next to me, the bald dude.
Yeah.
Name escapes me at the moment. But in any case, right on. Good picks. Nice girls. It's nice someone that shows some girl school. I love girl school. So
yeah, like I say, they just, I don't know, they kind of get lost amongst the bands, and they've got a pretty solid discography, so I don't know why they didn't get more. I don't know why they aren't more popular.
You're getting lots of love. Thank Vindicator.
Thank you. I appreciate the love.
Too, is they were all of their out. I mean, they didn't have a period where they fell off. All of their, even their recent albums are really good. I just don't think they just didn't get big like the other new wave of British heavy metal bands. Maybe they didn't change their sound enough for people. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be.
By the way, Ryan Roebuck, who just posted that comment, is the guitar player in Motivic, who is a freaking-tastic thrash metal band.
Yeah, it's
their new album's coming out on vinyl and CD this year, so I'm looking forward to that.
I just turned somebody onto them yesterday, as a matter of fact, sitting right there.
I mean, they're so good. They're unique. I call them a thrash band, but you can't say. I call them a thrash band, but you can't say that they're a Metallica clone or they're a Slayer clone. No, they have their own unique sound.
All right,
kind of cool. Yeah.
Well, speaking of cool or uncool, I'm not really sure. Vic, I think you kind of got in a tangle with someone on the socials this week. You want to, tell us the story, and then we'll kind of go around with our opinions.
Well, I'll keep it mildly vague because again, I don't want to bring any names into it, but over the years, just a quick kind of rundown. Over the years, you'll kind of hit some of these individuals in the scene that have these like really bizarre, strong opinions about stuff. And so to kind of preface this, I can remember people being real shitty about crowdfunding. People that were in bands would be real shitty about crowdfunding. You're not working for that money, right? And I would be like, do you tour? If no, shut your mouth. If yes, have you stayed at someone's house? If no, shut your mouth. If yes, did you eat for free? Did you give them money for the stuff that they probably gave you? And that was always my argument with it. You can't shit on crowdfunding if you have ever used someone in that sense. And I think that's a valid point, if you're staying at someone's house, crashing on their couch, you're not paying for a hotel room and you're not paying them. So if someone's just giving you money for free, what's the difference? There is no difference. So it doesn't matter how they obtain that money. Well, the thing that kind of got my gears grinding was, first and foremost, if an album isn't pressed physically, it's not really an album. It's not a real release. No, that's not true whatsoever. Because with places like Bandcamp, you've got a timestamp. You have a copyright on that. If you've mailed a CDR to yourself and gotten a poor man's copyright, if you did it the right way and got a copyright, that's a release. It doesn't matter what one individual thinks. So if a band gets together and it makes music, and whether it's shitty or not, it doesn't matter. If they compose music and they have posted it somewhere, it's a release. Now, back in the 80s and in the 90s, when digital releases weren't a thing, it was very easy to be like, well, we got to release. Well, you got to prove it. In fact, Metal Archives used to make you have a physical release. You couldn't have a digital release. There was a time period where they didn't accept bands that had digital releases. They have since changed that standpoint because many bands release only digitally. And there's a lot of reasons for that, you know, especially in this day and age. Labels and bands alike are struggling due to the cost of everything skyrocketing in the last several years. So digital releases make more sense simply because you can't afford it. Now, the thing that really bothers me is when an individual says, get a day job. Well, I'm sorry. The digital release that I just released, I spent tens of thousands of dollars on equipment and gear so that I could record that digital release, because I don't have another $1,500 to press it to CD or $3,000 or whatever it is now. I'm not a band now because I can't have my stuff on physical pressings. So here's the thing. I own my home. I have a day job and I also have a family. So you're going to tell me without knowing me to get a day job to afford the things that I've done. That's already going to irritate me. Now, I'm not going to say that I didn't creep on this individual's profile and not see any prominent bands that this individual is in, simply musician. Okay, what have you done? That's the bottom line. So here's the thing. Yes, if a release is released digitally, it's still a release, whether you or I like it or not. I'm in the physical camp. Look behind me. I've got my CDs all over the place. I love to collect that stuff, but not everybody does. But the key thing is not everyone can afford it. And because they can't afford it doesn't mean that they need a day job. A lot of these individuals have several day jobs and night jobs just to afford being in a band. So I guess my key point here is that the ignorance, this isn't even gatekeeping. This is just straight up ignorance, and it does nothing to benefit anyone. In fact, it's more discouraging and damaging to up and comers to have that kind of mindset than anything else. It blows my mind that people in the metal community are going to sit here and tell you, digital only, that's not a real release. You're not even a real band because you don't have a CD. What in the actual fuck?
Not just that. Back in the day, most bands never had a release because it was so hard to get a release. I remember in the 90s, for us to get a CD done in the 90s, we had to sign with a local label called Vane Records. He would press our stuff for us and put you in the studio, but he owned it. And then if you ever got signed to a major label, he owned a piece of that too. Right. So a lot of bands, we just didn't have releases because we didn't want to give away everything that we had done, you know?
Right.
But that was the norm in big cities, you know? You weren't going to get, unless you had rich parents, which honestly, most musicians don't.
Right.
That would put you in the studio. We didn't have release. So, I mean, just the fact that tool is available now is amazing. Number one, you know? We couldn't afford Pro Tool setups in the 90s. It would have cost $30,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Compared to now, where it's a computer program for a few $100. But you know, Scott and I know a guy who's got a band called Project Gemini. Really good guy. He does mostly digital releases. He will do a physical release just because people ask for it, but he actually loses money on it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
100 records of every one of his albums. And with what he pays to the band members for doing their parts, he doesn't see anything on it. So it's not really beneficial a lot of the time either.
Exactly. And I mean, like, not to kick the dead horse, but that's what I'm saying is tens of thousands of dollars invested into a band. I have not made a fraction of that back in almost 20 years. 20 years doing this. And don't get me wrong, because again, I'm a physical media guy. I like to collect my stuff physically, but you can't dictate like what's a real release by saying, well, this is digital only, so that you can't discredit that band for that release. There are bands that only release digitally that make that are far more successful than I will ever dream of.
Well,
I don't know who they are, but they're, again, like typically in other genres and such, but
I'll tell you who's one, and we discussed it prior to the going on live, but I think backing up to the actual definition of what an album is, it's a collection of music recorded by some individuals that are whether they're a permanent band or, you know, I know lots of guys that just have one guy who's kind of in charge, and then he hires some hired guns. Kind of like Joel Grind of Toxic Holocaust. He now has a band that's full time, but we know that we've had Charlie Belmore on here before. He and his brother were Toxic Holocaust. I know he had guys before that, but even before that, I mean, Joel told me that he would take his iPhone with him and he would plug in, and sometimes he'd have a riff in his head. He could be in the supermarket parking lot, record that riff, and then when he got home from the store, he'd go back, add a drum track, and then he'd put it out.
yeah.
Does that not count as a release? I mean, just because a record label's not involved doesn't mean that it's not a legitimate release.
Yeah, in my opinion is, if you have made something original or even a cover song, I don't know if it even matters there. If you have made music available to the public,
Right.
you have a release.
Right. You can put that on YouTube. It just doesn't matter. You tracked it and you have proof that you tracked it. It's a release. Now, again, yeah, I mean, everybody wants a proper release. I don't think that anybody there. I mean, I'm sure there's a few that are like, well, you know, I don't know, maybe they have like they're saving the environment or something. Some kind of mindset that says digital only because of the carbon footprint, something like that. I'm just trying to think of something, but most people who make music want to have a record, want to have a CD, you know, or something along those lines. And where's it going to stop? You know, it's getting hard to do this stuff. So, now cassettes aren't considered real releases. You know, sorry, you got a cassette. It's not a real release.
Who said
you
that?
Know, like, I don't know, but I'm just saying it's probably
My favorite
coming.
Format.
Like, you know, it's probably on its way. If we're just going to be like, well, you know, this isn't a real release. It is. It very much is, you know.
Well, if you release music this is a compilation of our latest work, and you release it, whether it's on tape, CD, vinyl, a digital download, whatever. And sometimes sometimes I'll buy the record, and that's why I love Bandcamp. I'll buy the vinyl, and they give you a download code
right,
to make it portable. And that's
right. Yeah, because you're not spinning an LP in your car. And again, I digress. I feel like people are gonna be like, oh, that guy's digital only. Again, if you look behind me, if I can get my right hand, those are all CDs.
Right.
I won't buy just a digital record. I won't. I'm just defending people who can't afford to make their own and don't have a record deal to make.
Which is most bands, to be perfect. I mean, that's 80% of the bands out there, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, and at some point you run out of space.
And I do.
Yeah, no, space is a real thing too.
Yeah. And Scott and I do this partially for our living, you know, with mastering and artwork, and you guys have been involved in bands and different projects. But the thing is, I completely lost my way there. Oh my gosh, it was going to be good.
No, you need that point.
No, here we go. So I have not been as prolific a collector as Scott, as Carcass, as Vic. I don't know what Steve's collection looks like, but I'm sure it's massive. But I have been surrounded by thousands of records and thousands of CDs. I mean, here's, 1,500 CDs right here. There's several hundred records over there. I am actually shrinking my collection because of digital. But what I caution people about, yes, we all love vinyl, we all love tapes and CDs, and we collect those things. Our collections grow and shrink as we get older, life situations change. But do not discount digital only, because I can't tell you how many bands, I'm going to say the dirty word, I have found on Spotify.
Right.
Because it will recommend something else, and then I go add it to my list. And sometimes that translates to a CD, a
Right.
t-shirt, a record, a concert ticket. And if they had not put something out only digitally to, cross my path on Spotify or YouTube or whatever, I may not have seen it because believe it or not, I'm not following every single band on the planet.
Right.
So,
But again, like there again, just to digress,
yeah,
this isn't about do you like digital
correct.
and digital only is the way to be. That's not what this conversation about. This conversation
Absolutely.
is about if a band puts something out digitally, that's an actual release, whether someone's going to buy it or not, whether you like it or not. That band released music, and that's the release.
Amen.
And if it gets reissued on a physical format, good for the band. But otherwise, their ideas are still out there. Their art's still out there. They still did the thing. And that's more than half of the people that say they're going to do something and don't. Oh, I'm going to start a band. I'm going to record an album. And then the guy never does. These guys did. They released it digitally. That's all they could do. That's all they did. So again, most of us won't buy a digital only release. I get that. But it's about whether or not that release is an actual release. And no matter how you dice it, it is an actual release. You can't take that away from them.
At the end of the day, it's about music and the enjoyment of somebody's craft. And if the only way to hear that, like my friend in Norway, Geir Jensen, who's also part of Biosphere, he does exclusively digital releases. He does a short run of maybe 100 or 200 records. But you know how much it is to ship one record?
Yeah.
It was only one of 200.
Like 15 euros.
You might as well spend $80 to $100.
Right.
And I'm about listening to his new latest creation. So I'm okay to pay him the $10 American for that copy and not have to worry if it's going to, if it's going to even end up here. How many times have we shipped stuff to South America, Mexico, Japan, and it just never got there or we never received it?
Right.
And we could have been listening to the music. It's not so much about holding that precious record. I love doing that too. This is just one room. I have other rooms all over the house full of stuff, but it's about the music.
I feel like I need to rearrange my office so you guys can see all my record shelves behind me now.
Yeah, you got to do that. That's a great backdrop.
Yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, it's about music. And that's how you connect with the band. You don't connect with the band.
To be honest, in 2024, digital is the most important format, whether you want to admit it or not. Mm-hmm. Because 90% of listeners are streaming your music, or they're listening through Spotify, or they're downloading from what's the website?
I don't think anybody's downloading anymore. I think everybody's streaming.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But they're streaming it,
Right.
So I mean, that's where you're going to get the exposure. I mean, yeah, there's a small. I mean, even with albums, people selling 30 or 40,000 copies of an album, that's nothing compared to what it used to be and compared to what streams are. So
right.
And when you even big bands, I mean, I remember reading who was it? The last Carcass album. I think they sold like 10,000 physical copies. I mean, that's nothing numbers for a band that big. But
I have 11 of them in my record room, by the way. But I digress.
But I guarantee they had millions of downloads and millions of streams of that same record, So, I mean, physical format's not where it's at these days anyway, other than to collectors.
Right.
I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of young people buying physical product these days.
Well, they're starting to get into it, which is cool. But I mean, when you consider a lot of these bands, were platinum selling artists with record sales, 15 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago. And, they may sell 20 or 30,000 physical copies nowadays because of what streaming has done, So, I mean, you're still going to get more money that way.
I'll tell you right now, though, I need a physical copy because I cannot listen to stuff on my phone. Now, I can hook it up and run it through the car stereo, but I have to hear the sonic blitz, and you can't get that through a phone. You can't get that through earbuds. You have to have a real system, and nobody that I know of is still making cassette players. Now I've got 11 of them, So if somebody,
you can't get a CD player in your car anymore. I had to install one in my car so that I could listen to
I'm
CDs.
okay. What and I think I told Rob this. What I do is I just load up a USB with 3,000 songs. You plug it in, hit random,
Yeah,
and it sounds okay for the car. But
Right.
that's the beauty of the record, is it's an experience.
Yeah.
It's not just
Right.
I
Yeah.
feel like listening to something. It's a
Especially
commitment.
like vinyl records. Like that is that to me is the most, that's the most experience you're going to get out of a music listening session. You know, you have to go like physically get up and flip the thing over to hear the rest of the music, you know, and that to me, I like doing that. It's not for everybody, but sometimes I'll just be lazy and listen to side A or side B like 6 times in a row. And it makes it, and then you just appreciate the deep cuts even more. So again, like there's a lot of quality to physical media. Absolutely. And I don't know that it's ever going to go anywhere. Maybe someday we'll get into some weird dystopian hellscape where, you know, I don't know, the songs will just play in your head. AI is going to program everything you want to think you want to hear, whatever. I don't know. But as for right now, like, yes, people are still actively collecting CDs and actively collecting vinyl, to a lesser extent cassettes. And again, until, you know, if you've I don't even care if you didn't pay for your studio time and everything was like you found a guitar in the garbage that still worked and you tracked an album on a Talkboy like the old black metal bands did. That was still a release. You're still releasing music. And if you're just using technology now and doing it digitally, that still constitutes a release. Like you can't change the meaning of what a music release is. You just can't come in and be like, I don't believe that that's a thing. It is a thing. It is a release.
The definition of album has nothing to do with tape, CD, digital, vinyl.
Yeah.
An album of music is a collection or compilation of recorded music.
But it doesn't even have to be an album. You can come out with a single and you
right. No, that's what
dude, my singles are all digital. I'll slap them onto a release as it comes, like piggyback them on as a bonus item. But I'm sorry, I can't pay for singles every time I make a single. I can't press them to CD every time I make a single. Maybe I should get 17 day jobs so that I can sit on that stock that no one's gonna buy except for like 3 people because it's a collector's item.
Well,
I bought the CD with one song on it.
I count 4 people here, Vic.
So there, you've already.
All right. All right. Fair enough.
You should release a single on mini disc.
Oh, remember those? Yeah.
I love.
What were the little units? You press the button and it would play the single, and like real terrible music was on it, like NSYNC. They were like it was one MP3 was on that thing, and it was.
I remember those.
Oh man, those were ridiculous.
I can't think of what that was.
Did you see? There,
things.
Oh, yeah, the 3
dude, I have one. I don't remember what it is.
A mini disc. That's a mini CD. That is not.
Here you go, right here. Jesus and Mary Chain, the 3-inch single.
Oh wow, this is bonkers. This is bonkers.
That's funny. That's the only one I have. It just happens to be right here.
It's not a real release.
I think my favorite single release is Belushi Speedball released a single on a piece of pizza. Did you guys see that?
No,
but that's awesome.
Yeah, look it up. Belushi Speedball pizza single. I think it's like a piece of pizza with epoxy on it, and you hit the button. There's a little speaker. You hit the button, and it plays the songs about pizza because they're a pizza thrash band. So, but
that's not a mini disc.
No, but we're talking about the
yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about this. I mean, I don't know what they call these things, but
I think they were just 3 inches, weren't they? 3-inch CDs or whatever.
Yeah,
oh wow!
I love.
Wow.
I was in Japan for the whole mini disc thing, and in Japan, mini discs were huge. I mean, that's all you could get there. I mean, I had a mini disc player in my car. I had one in my stereo.
Space is at a premium there.
What's that?
Space is at a huge premium in Japan.
Right. That's
not just that. You could
are those mini discs that I did make?
You could record the mini disc 10 years before you could record the CD. So I mean, you could do your own mixes and borrow and stuff, and it was digital or it was a CD quality.
Here's another one.
Oh, that's a cool one. You need to send that to me.
I will have
Derek Green. Never mind.
I will have everyone know that I had to go to my case over there to get my mini disc. Not my 3-inch.
I bet that one's worth a couple $100 though.
This
I
one
had
here?
to go. I've only got
that one?
4. And
At
they're
Allison
sitting
Chains.
together. And on top of it, I swear this is true, are the sleeves of my Vindicator soap. I swear I had to take those off.
Yeah,
put the
if your
singles on
band
the
doesn't
soap,
if your
Vic.
band doesn't have soap, it's not a real band. Just I'm
No,
sorry.
you're right.
Okay,
There you go.
so let me ask you this. Is this a real release?
Well, there's no music. There's no music on it.
That's where you should have
It
put the
doesn't
single.
matter.
It's a soap release, I guess.
Yes.
There we go.
It releases a delicious scent in the
Yeah,
shower. I'll tell you that.
it releases a delicious odor. Oh
That's
man.
great.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wish I could. And I honestly, when Volcana released its first single, we released it digitally. I wanted to make singles. I really did. I had enough material for a single, and I was going to Ragnarocker that year, and I was like, oh, it would be so cool to hand out singles. I didn't have the turnaround time. So guess what I did? Download cards. That's what I did. And yeah, it would have been cooler for singles, but there again, I don't know that it would have garnered any more fans than the download cards did.
But the problem is because singles and 7-inches cost almost as much as just pressing a record.
Right.
I mean,
Here's the thing. I got the dream come true with that, because like in the exact same day, Dive Bomb hit us up for their Masters of Metal comp. And then an independent label that had just started up hit us up about making a 7-inch. And luckily both of them were cool with each of them doing those things. So I got a 7-inch out of it, and I got to cross that off my media bucket list. I wouldn't have been able to press a 7-inch at all. Not even back then. The price is outlandish. The price for records is outlandish.
And it keeps going up.
And it's not feasible for a band to do. And at this point, another comment that was made in that thread was something about enjoying your CDRs. Well, here's the best thing about that is bands can press pro CDRs, and that guy that said that probably wouldn't know the difference between a pro CDR and a silverback CD.
I've done it.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, enjoy your CDRs. You might own some CDRs, bud, and you just don't even know it. Sorry, because you can get like 50 CDRs made instead of like 300 silverbacks. Right now is the last time I got a silverback made. The minimum is 300, which is great because that's down 200 from the 500 it used to be.
Right,
and that was
which
still
is down from the 1,000 that it used to be.
Right, which is
ago.
still really expensive. Because I'm still sitting on like half of that stock. So that's the problem. The problem is if your band's doing very well, there's probably no excuse for you not to have physical pressings. But if you're a band that's just an everyday band that does have a day job, it's hard to warrant making anything because, if you're like me, in fact, you can see the boxes of merch I got sitting back there, boxes of records I can't sell. That's taking up space in my studio. I can't put them anywhere else. If more people bought them all up, yeah, that'd be a different story. But so there again, it's a matter of space. If you have the space in the warehouse space or just the storage space to house all this stuff, it's fine because eventually you'll sell it through time. Otherwise, that on top of the money, digital just makes more sense. And again, I understand that it's not appealing to I believe most metal heads prefer physical media. That's just, I don't think that
seems to be that does seem to be the case.
Probably don't have to argue that.
One group. I mean, if you go to record stores, you can't find metal records because metal guys always kept their records. Metal and jazz. I don't know what it is about those two genres. The guys always stuck with the
right.
Yep.
So
metal and jazz guys. Yep.
So, but I mean, at the same time, though, like again, a band can do what it does. It doesn't, you don't, unless you know them personally, you can't be like, get a day job. You don't know what they're going through in their lives. You don't know what they can or can't afford. And just because they can't afford it, get a day job. Oh, that's going to change everything. Thanks for the advice.
Sadly, a lot of big name bands have day jobs now.
Yeah, a lot of them do. A lot of guys are like, they get off tour and they go paint or something because the tour's not making them any money. Everything's taking a cut out of that. You got, the merch cuts are getting outlandish at these venues. Get a day job. Well, guess what? Most of us have day jobs. So thanks for the advice. And, again, physical releases don't dictate whether or not something is a release. And
There's only one true format that's 8-track.
8-track.
Oh gosh.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, dude, don't get me wrong. I've been working on getting an Edison cylinder made, so
One of the new wave of traditional metal bands just did a 8-track release. I don't remember who it was.
Savage Master did one not long ago.
Savage Master, that's who it was. Yep. Yeah, that's the one.
You can play it if you have an 8-track player. Those are increasingly hard to find, man. Like as far as
they're
I
all
know.
rebuilt.
Wade
Yep.
did that a few years back.
Yeah.
I also still prefer Betamax tapes. So.
Yeah.
Like I like my Laserdisc player. You know,
There you go.
Right.
I have one of the coolest laser discs ever that I've never seen anybody show before. I'm gonna go grab it and show it to you all. I think you'll probably dig it. Hang on.
I hope it's 12 Wasted Years by Iron Maiden because I have
Jimi Hendrix. There's a couple Jimi Hendrix that were only on Laserdisc.
I got a Stevie Ray Vaughan live in Osaka, and I have a Judas Priest live on Laserdisc.
All right.
Oh.
Damn it.
Are we doing this?
Hey, Vic, I have 2 Laserdisc players. I'm sorry.
Oh man, dude, that's what I'm saying. I really do have 12 Wasted Years on Laserdisc. Never saw what the content that's on it. I bought it for a couple.
Bring
bucks.
it with you. Bring it with you when you come down, and I have 2 places to watch it. So
Nice.
I'm gonna see what Scott shows because I think we've got the same thing.
is
No,
it Twisted?
no, yeah.
There's a Twisted Sister Laserdisc out there.
Oh, whoa.
Wow.
Damn.
I didn't even know that
That's
one
what I'm
existed.
gonna show.
That one's out of the fires. I didn't realize that.
Hallucination Comas.
Damn it.
Yeah, it's a complete live show. It's got 18 tracks on it.
Coming to a city near you in the next couple months. Oh, there you go.
There it is. There it is.
I gave all my laser discs to a friend of mine named John Carcass John,
So,
except for this one.
so I wanna
Yeah.
tell
He's the
you
only one I
something
kept.
about
I gave him to him because I can't play him, and he might as well give him to somebody who enjoys them.
I also
just
have
couldn't-
primers on Laserdisc.
Yes.
Well,
I
come
love
on
that.
over, Vic. We'll have a Laserdisc party. I have a stack of them.
Striper has 2 laser
What's
discs. Which one did you have there?
Maximum
Rob, which Striper one was that?
Live in Japan.
Okay, yeah, they have 2 of them. They have that other one too that has the, them showing off their cars and all that kind of crap on it, kind of the documentary
yeah, this is
one.
the one where Michael Sweet shows off his wiener in his spandex pants the whole time. And
What'd you call him? Michael's what?
wiener pants.
Did you
call him
Yes, Michael.
Did you call him Michael Sweet? That's what I heard you say.
Yeah.
Hey, Gary Arkin
not
said,
doing that.
"Is the sound quality good on a Laserdisc?" Yeah, the sound quality's it's CD quality.
Yeah, the sound quality is good. The video quality kind of sucks.
Yeah, the video sucks. It looks like you might as well just have the VHS tape on.
What's amazing is at 91, it looked amazing, but you go back and look at it now, you're like, holy
Now I
shit.
can't watch a regular DVD, even
Yeah.
with an upconvert.
The funny thing about this, when I was a massive Striper fan a million years ago, and I had no, I'm not going to get into all that. Anyway, and then we did some business through labels with them, and it went poorly. Y'all know the controversy about that. This was my holy grail of laser discs. I used to have a couple players. I had a few movies, but mostly I had concerts and home video releases and stuff. Well, all that stuff went down a year or 2 ago with all the girder thing and all that. And I don't want to get into all that. And man, I don't know how to say this. I would just say I found myself without my Striper collection anymore. And what the hell shows up immediately? I had never even seen one. This thing shows up. So this is my Striper collection.
It's not a bad collection.
It's probably a pretty good. I mean, look, and once again, we could probably get into. We could have a show on if we judged every musician,
Striper laser disc,
and would we even listen to music? If we like quite honestly, I don't understand Buns and Posers or Guns and Roses or whatever the heck they call themselves, because I can't stand Axl Rose. I just can't stand him. I think he's bad for the scene. But if we were to judge every person that's in a band, would we ever listen to music? Because everyone's made a mistake or
I've met some pretty horrible guys in the music industry, and I love their music. So
yeah. No, Frazier, I don't have Betamax, but I do have 2 Laserdisc player. One that plays both sides of the laser disc. You don't even have to flip it over.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
high
I'm
tech,
telling
man.
Thanks, Hair Metal Rob.
Hey, Gary, I haven't heard a single person that likes that new Motley Crue song.
Dude, it's terrible.
Oh, it's
do you know what's not terrible? That the new Sebastian Bach.
I've heard it's awesome.
Really good, like wildly good. Like it's back to old Skid Row sounds. So yeah, new Motley Crue it was bad. The video was real bad, and I was like, "What is happening?"
I didn't get it. Well, the weird thing is, it doesn't sound like Motley Crue. It doesn't sound like John 5. I don't know what they're going for with it. It doesn't.
I don't think they are going for anything. I think Rob Rock has announced that the album is mostly done through AI, so that's why you're.
Are you serious? They're doing that?
Yes. You would think AI would be able. You should be able to make us a good Motley Crue. 1985.
There's a bunch of articles out claiming that the whole thing was done with AI, and the video is 100% AI. It's obvious.
I mean, I didn't. Sometimes, the AI videos look all right. I did one. It was fun. We're not going to do another one, but we did Fog of War. It was
Somebody else said it before I did. Gary Aronson, it's all AI.
That's wild though. But writing music without writing music, does that dictate a release? Now, see, there's the real debate. If a robot's writing your music, you're not writing it. So the robot
needs to get a day job. Damn it.
Well, it's worse than that. It's worse than that, though. It's worse than not just writing it. It's not writing it. You're not playing on it. You're not doing anything. Even the artwork is all done AI. So what's Yeah,
it's still.
Well, they picked out the only member that was actually playing. So
just so everybody knows, that's a pencil. That's how I draw. That's how I draw.
You sure about that?
I have a day
sure you
job.
don't have a Terminator in your house drawing stuff?
I have a day job and a pencil. You can't stop me.
So speaking of your day job, what's the shirt you're wearing?
You can afford pencils with your day job? Man, I need to get another one.
Yeah, well, it was 3 at one point. Now I'm backing off so I can create non-digitally.
Funny enough, as I talk about not liking the new Motley Crue, I'm actually going to see them on Thursday. I'm not going to see them. They're playing at the Welcome to Rockville Festival, so I'm going to see Anthrax and Kerry King and Judas Priest. There's like 9 bands playing that first day. I really want. Do you guys remember Orgy from the 90s?
Yeah.
They got back together. They're doing a set there, so it's going to be a good show. But yeah, Motley Crue is the headliner above Judas Priest, which makes no sense.
You can leave early.
Yeah.
But you're
they're always doing that. When they did I went to see them when they did their farewell tour, and Alice Cooper opened for them, and I was like, why'd you do that? Why would you do that? He absolutely blew him off the stage.
Yeah,
that was fun seeing him one time. I don't need to see him again. It's certainly not with John 5 in the band. Nope. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with seeing him that one time. Vince Neil still sounded terrible. They sounded all right.
I saw him at Gazzari's in Hollywood once back in the 80s, and that was perfect.
And people forget, they sounded like shit, or he sounded like shit in the 80s. Yeah,
He sounds like really bad now. Like he had his own thing going at least, but now he sounds real terrible.
Well, I saw him on the stadium tour when they came. They played the first night of the stadium tour here.
They were horrific.
Yeah, and sound was off. And
9 Ways from Sunday.
The good thing though is you're singing along, so you don't actually hear him for most of the show.
Right.
Oh. But yeah, they were by far the worst band. I mean, they were probably the biggest band on the tour. But
even the Queen
blew them away. So did Def Leppard. So did Joan Jett. They all blew them off the stage.
Right.
Even the Queen says, "I'm glad that they're running the songs up on the monitor on the moniker above the stage because I couldn't tell what's Kickstart My Heart, what's Dr. Feelgood. You just couldn't tell. It all sounded
the sound was bad,
and it sounded like he had caught his toe in the door or stepped on a cat." I mean, it was.
Well, that's a funny thing.
I don't know. As bad as Vince is live
for him.
As bad as Vince is live, I've seen Dokken 4 times in my lifetime.
Oh, dude!
And
careful, be careful.
I'm sorry, but Don Dokken was horrible 3 out of the 4 times. First of all, somebody stapled his feet to the stage because he didn't move. So not at all.
Dude, I saw a video. Yeah, I saw just recently a video, man. I mean, I'm not saying this to make light of it.
I was there.
He looks unhealthy. He had a cane.
Yeah.
He would sit down on the drum riser. He's talking. He's not singing. Dude, just hang it up, man. Hang it up.
he signs stuff. When he signs stuff now, he just puts a DD because he can't do a signature anymore.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's got
They re-released that single, and he just did a DD. And I've got a bunch of older stuff from him that signed up on the walls when he did his full. He can't do it anymore. So
hey, in his day, that was a great band. I mean,
absolutely, man. You Tooth and Nail.
Yep,
that's a Desert Island record.
Well, and they even had some weird, like they did the Live in Japan. When was that? The 90s when they did the Live in Japan show. They sounded fantastic on that show too. And I've seen that video of it. What's that?
Beast in the East. Is that what that was called?
No, that was in the 80s. This was in the 90s.
Okay. All right.
They did it was like half electric, half acoustic, something like that, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And it was fantastic. It was when they got back together with George Lynch for a while there.
Okay.
And it was a really good show. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
Yeah. And they sounded great on that. And I've seen the video, so it's not after editing, of the CD.
Right.
I mean, I know we did an episode of When Should People Hang It Up, and
the hell's going on?
So I just think,
what the? Oh my God!
Something's got John.
That's what I get for talking trash about Don Dawkins. I'm sorry.
I don't know if they should hang it up though. I mean, I just saw Willie Nelson 4 months ago. He's 90 years old. His voice, he can barely play. I mean, you can tell the band behind him is, he can barely play his guitar now. He would strum here and there, and it would be off, so the band is kind of covering behind him, Okay. But he still sounds like Willie Nelson. I just saw
his voice still sounds like him, right?
His voice still
kind
sounds
of the important thing. Like that's so when you've got like Don Dawkins and he's just sounding bad, and you're like, what is happening?
But I just saw Danzig. He can't do a lot of the Danzig songs anymore. He doesn't sound great. It was still a great show. I still had a good time. So
I would like to point out that Paul Gaskin is watching.
Yes.
Just so we're clear. And what I'll say about people having to hang it up or not, since we're talking about musical dilemmas and truths here today. A, does the band still want to do it, or the singer, or whoever? If the answer is yes, keep going. 2, are people still showing up no matter what the product looks like?
You got a point there. You have a point there.
And they are, because I've seen Dawkins several times.
How do you know they're not AI people?
Oh, damn it.
Dio's
I'm waiting for the Kiss AI tour. Y'all got to go to that, right?
Yeah.
Can I mention again that Nawabum hero Paul Gaskin is watching?
Yeah, that's killer.
Yeah, the collection in the back has some of his music in it.
I think we all have some of his music.
Yeah.
I've got a signed vinyl upstairs.
Man, that's awesome. What's up, Paul? How are you? Come on the show sometime. You're always welcome. Just message one of us. Well, it's 6:04, and we have talked about Striper laser discs. What's a real release? We've said hello to Paul Gaskin. I mean, I think we kind of have to end the show now, don't we?
I think the only thing that we've really established is that Paul Gaskin, new wave of British metal heroes, has signed on to listen, and that we have a true heavy metal superstar in VIC STOWN, who has been putting out real releases, even despite his day job, for years, decades even.
Yes.
So I think this has been a successful show. I didn't know how 5 guys would be. I thought we might be moshing into each other verbally.
Vindicator.
Hell yeah.
Matter of fact, I even got a Vindicator button sitting right here.
You have a lot of stuff. You got a lot of stuff, Scott.
Or something.
I do.
Doesn't matter. Soap. Is
soap.
where it's at.
I have the soap, but I have the CDs and the records.
Me too.
I need to order the soap. I got to admit it. I got to do it.
I still have some left.
Vindicator soap is delicious. I've had all the flavors.
So is the wife watching your mouth out?
Yeah,
that's right. A lot of bad words. Like a Christmas story over there.
Right.
That's right. All right, boys. Well, that's just about it for episode 224. Anybody got any parting shots? That was a fun episode.
Oh, thanks, Vic, for coming back again. And you're, like Rob said, you're always welcome. Even if you just want to show up randomly in the middle of the show, it doesn't matter. You're always welcome.
Yes, please do, man. It's awesome having you on.
Yeah,
And
no, I love being on. I appreciate it. Thanks for giving me a place to sound off. Because most people are like, "Shut up, grumpy old man," and I'm like, "Ah, man," and I kick this.
Nobody's grumpy or older than me on this
Yeah, I
show.
was about to say that. Funny enough.
Yeah. Show of hands if you're wearing a heart monitor, though. Yeah.
No.
Talk about
Show of hands if you're taking 20 pills before you go to bed every night.
Well, I take 20 pills a day, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But bennies and amphetamines don't count, Vic.
Oh, dang it. Dang it.
Are they real pills?
Right. No, they don't count. They don't count.
Is it even a pill if it dissolves under your tongue?
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
Is a dentist a real
boys.
doctor?
If anybody wants to follow me on Instagram, I don't know why the fuck you would want to, but you can find me at Metal Rob's Records. You can find the Carcass at Carcass John Art. You can find Scott by going anywhere and looking No Life Till Metal. And Steve, I apologize. Tell me, Harmless Rebel.
Harmless Rebel at YouTube, at harmless_rebel at Instagram.
Yes. And Vic, tell everybody how they can check out what you're doing out in the world.
Typically, just ear to the wind. That's how I release my music. So you have to be within 12 feet to actually hear my releases. Very exclusive.
Maybe it'll be near one of my new day jobs.
Maybe, because if you're not, then you're just not. You're not in the know, so you're not cool enough for my
one stone.
releases. Or you can go to vindicator.bandcamp.com or volcanametal.bandcamp.com, and those are the only two I'm going to rattle off because there's 6 more, and I just whatever.
And speaking of the rawness of Vindicator, which I absolutely love, and thank you for letting me participate in that with doing some artwork for you.
Absolutely.
The new Rotting Corpse demos on vinyl for the first time ever in the history of Rotting Corpse shipped today and should be here by next episode. I hope to show you an actual physical copy, not just a test pressing, but they sound amazing. And the more we sell, the more new music you'll get from Rotting Corpse.
They definitely don't sound like demos.
We're posting a couple of new t-shirts. I've retooled a couple t-shirt designs, one for 420, one for Star Wars. May the corpse be with you.
Nice.
And Mr. T's birthday is the 21st of this month, so we have a new special Mr. T Rotting Corpse t-shirt that you want to go to the Space Cadet Jet distro and hook yourself up with.
I don't know, man.
It's very unique.
Mark Hamill destroyed Star Wars the other day, so.
Oh, well, you know what? Mark Hamill has earned his keep. He can do whatever he wants, but I'm going to get a new Rotting Corpse t-shirt.
He's now referring to Joe Biden as Joby One Kenobi.
That's funny.
We're
not doing politics. Don't even start.
Opinions are like what?
No.
How about let's just talk about Osric Tentacles and then we'll just
Here we go. Here we go. This is what I came for.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm just gonna hit the outro. Screw you guys.
I forgot you were in control. Damn it.
24, you know how we do it. Metal.
Metal.
Thanks again, Vic. I love your soap so much.